In life, we've all asked this question. Why is one thing more popular than the other? Why did one thing get more recognition than another? And why won't people give some things a chance? These questions are asked about many things in life, from ourselves as individuals to even things like media. As a gamer for over 25 years, I have played many games that most people won't even try. Is it just preference? Maybe it's due to time. Regardless of the reason, in a time where gamers are saying that they are looking for something new or just something different than the norm, you would think they would jump at the chance for something to spark that magic only a good game can do. That brings us to today's subject. Star Ocean has been around since the 90s, and even amongst RPG fans, it's rarely mentioned. I didn't get into RPGs until I got into about high school, and my first Star Ocean was The Last Hope. I loved that experience and wanted to see what others thought of it. I was very surprised to see the mixed reception. Many, in my opinion, were being very critical of the game. I would say overcritical, in fact. And it became clear to me the position that the Star Ocean franchise was in. It was in the position of the underdog. A franchise that won't ever get the shine, a game that many know is good, but yet others won't even try. It can scratch the itch many JRPG fans have been asking for, but the power of perception stops them. Before we dive into this review, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It's a free way to help sponsor the channel. I'm hoping to reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers, and any and all support is greatly appreciated, and I thank you. Before we dive into Divine Force's story, I just have to say I will not be spoiling anything as of now. Once I begin to get more in depth, I'll warn you to skip ahead. Divine Forces lets you choose your main protagonist. I decided to go with Raymond, and we find ourselves crash landed on the planet of Aster 4. After being shot down by a Federation battleship for no reason, Raymond is found by two locals, Princess Leticia and Albert. They quickly realize that Raymond is not from their world. Amazed by this spaceman, they figured he would be able to help them. As a war between Arcerius, Princess Leticia's kingdom, and the Kingdom of Vale is brewing, and they are on a journey to find a man by the name of Midas. Ray agrees to help them in exchange for helping him find his lost crew members. This adventure quickly gets strange as the cargo Ray was transporting is found, a device named Duma that gives the user the ability to manipulate gravity among other things. The overall story goes places I didn't see coming. Early chapters deal with the idea of the advanced meeting the primitive. Raymond, being from a civilization light years advanced in technology, having to explain things that are common to him but seem unimaginable to Leticia and friends. The dynamic, of course, leads to some funny moments, especially in the private actions. Think of these private actions as special story bits that add to the relationships built with each character. But this theme also comes up in serious moments as well, such as an early plot point dealing with a disease plaguing the land. Without spoiling, I could say Star Ocean is brilliant with its storytelling and pacing. Right when I thought the story would end, it takes a sharp turn into questions many have wondered. Not only that, they don't do the typical tropes found in many Japanese writings. There is no long drawn out rivalry between two male characters that end up being best friends anyway. There are no unrealistic chick magnets or any type of harem talk going on here. And they did a great job of giving villains a sympathetic reason for their motives, while not hamming in on saving every last person. If you want a complex story that is full of shocking twists, a fun cast of characters that don't fit the typical stereotypes found in these type of games, then the Divine Forces will be just what you need. Now it's spoiler time. I won't break down every minor point. I'll just be focusing on the things that I think are the most important. Like I said, the story goes from a simple tale of two worlds colliding, the advanced and the primitive, but then shifts into a deeper story of evolution, control, loss, and a sense of being. See, the character Duma is what they call a scorpion. Scorpion are an integration of artificial and organic life. The scorpions seek out evolution by fusing artificial with organics, a true merger of the two, with neither side being more dominant than the other. It's the opposite of cyborgs. Instead of making the human more artificial, it makes the artificial more human. They are linked to a network of information, shared by all Scorpium. All of them are on the network sharing data, they still remain as individuals. I related this to the internet, as we all use it and can share our thoughts, but we still remain as individuals, using the internet as a tool to shape our lives. This takes it a step beyond, as they are fully merged into a being. This sparks the question if these Scorpium are even human, or if any of the Scorpium that are fully artificial, are they even actually alive? The Scorpium also come off as a parasite in a way. Although Duma says all integration is consensual, it still doesn't change that Scorpium are on a mission to integrate. I view this like algorithms. When we search the web, we are overwhelmed with algorithms. It is helpful at times, especially when an ad based on something you search pops up, for example. But we know others control what is pushed in our faces without us wanting it. This obviously can shape the thinking of the individual user. Scorpium deals with something similar. Although the goal of the network is to help everyone connected, what will happen when someone comes in and corrupts it? This actually is a common argument with content on the internet. Should everything on the internet be allowed? Risking negative influences to come about? Restrictions would defeat the purpose of a shared world. And Baldur, the head of the empire, is an example of these negative influences, as he is a hurt man from a primitive world that basically found a solution to every problem he could ever face. Losing his wife to a disease and the common suffering of life, Scorpion became an outlet for his pain. Like those unhappy using the internet, the centralist Scorpion came out of this. Instead of a network formed by all, it's a network controlled by one. And just like many on the internet only want their way to be pushed, so do the centralist Scorpium. The centralists even go after the Federation, which is why Ray was randomly shot down by them. Kinda like someone catching a stray on the internet by unknowingly doing wrong thing. Going back to the plot, of course Ray and crew are skeptical of Scorpium, as they view it as an invasion or organic life, until they meet JJ, a fully integrated man who does not follow the centralists. He remains who he is while benefiting from Scorpium and the network. He explains Scorpium saved his life, similar to those that, thanks to the positive side of the internet, was able to find healing. Baldur stands on the opposite side of JJ. He does not want people to be individuals, but to be one-minded. In theory, if everyone thought the same, then there would be no conflict. However, we wouldn't be human anymore. That's exactly what either side of the wrong thing community wants. A one-minded army controlled by a single person's mindset. Unlike the true God of the real world, who gave us free will to do right or wrong, there are people in real life that argue they would trade away free will if it meant a better world. However, this is a response of fear and the thoughts of a dictatorship. The same thought of the centralists. Baldur wants to be a god. His hurt of losing his wife has caused him to want to control everything. Similar to the discourse that you'll find with the left and the right, or with the man and the woman. There's another angle I forgot to mention. Duma has a hard time accepting that Scorpium has been divided. Duma in this instance plays the role of the positive intellectual. The kind of person that creates something with good intentions and can't fathom anyone would corrupt their invention. Of course, in the story, Duma didn't create the Scorpium, but takes a long while to accept it's not the paradise they thought it was. Duma questioned why humans would fight each other, making no sense as it will only lower the evolution of man. So when the Scorpium end up fighting themselves, it shows the error of the Scorpium. If the Scorpium is just a network of living beings with their own individual mindset, of course a fight may come about. Just like many people believe that there is a way to make peace among men, especially through the means of technology. But the truth is, peace is only going to happen when individuals practice it, which is why some Scorpium are centralists and some aren't. Just like some people are decent people on the internet and others are the complete opposite. The centralists, unlike other Scorpium, are trying to force others to integrate, even though they could still choose which side they want to go with. Like I said, many on the internet try to influence others by force as well, rather those controlling the algorithm or bullying you into conforming. The Scorpium also can do this thing called digitization. Basically, someone can upload their soul into the network, no longer needing a body, but can upload themselves to a new one if needed. Science fiction has dealt with this idea as a concept for living forever. This is simply not real. So instead of addressing how this is impossible in reality, I'll tell you what I took from it. Baldur will die by your hands many times in his physical form, but remains alive on the network. I view this as a metaphor for our shared thoughts on the net. There are many deceased people who had their thoughts and influence put on the internet, forever living here in this digital space. At any moment, this data could reach your algorithm, and you too could be influenced by them. Whether they had a good influence or bad, doesn't matter. As the point is, thanks to the internet, they could live forever. Not only that, but think of how many things from decades ago, without context, could be misunderstood, or something that wasn't an issue originally becomes one as civilization changes. Duma eventually accepts that no matter if it's the Federation or someone like Baldur, the power of negative influence can always happen in the Scorpion network. Duma still holds out hope that if the Centralists are defeated, that the network will go back to being positive. However, just like we can't stop negative people coming on the internet, polluting the minds of others, neither can Scorpion. So instead, they decided to slow their roll and reevaluate their network. They can't get rid of it like we can't get rid of the internet, but pacing ourselves and using it wisely is all we can do. Star Ocean did what classic RPG plots used to do: make me think and reflect. They still give you the action and suspense, but it also works your mind. It's a story many online did not understand. I will say this story does hold a lot of its cards close to the chest and later on explain things that are at first confusing. Maybe others got lost in the complex storytelling. As for me, I enjoyed the ride and was left satisfied. There are even smaller story bits you can get by playing the game as the other protagonist. I actually put it up there with one of the best stories in gaming, an entertaining tale you don't want to miss. Star Ocean is an action RPG. The basics of combat are simple. You can have a party of 4 which you can switch between at any time. You can attack by using combos, dodge incoming attacks, and use items and spells. And you can utilize Duma for special abilities. The main hook of the combat are blindsides and sneak attacks. Sneak attacks are only done before battle. Hitting the enemy before they notice you will stun the enemy and also reward you with an XP bonus. Blindsides are more complex. Using Duma allows you to know which bad guys are currently spotting you. To blindside, you want to fly at the enemy looking at you, then quickly move out of the way. This can stun all enemies looking at you and gives you a bonus in damage. Now I have to admit the blindsides do feel a little bit wonky. Like at first I thought they don't consistently work, but that's due to the different enemy types and their cone of vision. If their vision is wide, blindsiding to the left or the right won't really work, but going up will. Some enemies can't be blindsided at all because they have no eyes or they have many eyes. Some can only be done while doing a powerful move. They will glow red, leaving them open for a blindside. The good thing is there is no major penalty from failing a blindside. Your VA gauge does drain if you fail a blindside, meaning you have to wait or fill it back up by attacking the enemy to try another one. This never took long to fill up, so I actually say there really is no penalty at all. Besides, a perfect dodge also works in case blindsides don't. Duma can also block attacks and later unlocks a shield that guards the whole party. Duma's other ability is similar to a limit break found in Final Fantasy. Each character has a different special move, so you should experiment and see which move is needed for the moment. The cool thing is this meter fills up no matter who you're controlling. So you could basically use the main character that you normally use to fill it up and then switch to the character you need to use later. Each character fits a classic RPG role. You got your knight, your mage, your healer, etc. The cool thing is a character like Nina, being the dedicated healer, can't even target enemies, making her job only focus on healing and buffing. Some characters like Midas work better at a distance, as he casts high damage but slow spells. I find myself mainly playing as Ray, only to stick to the fact that he's the main character I chose, but all characters are viable, giving this game a level of experimentation with their class and selected skills. Speaking of skills, You unlock them as you level up and earn SP. Skills can be set on either of the 3 face buttons, leading into a combo string. Essentially, you can create 3 combos of your liking. But remember, each move uses AP. AP is basically a stamina bar. It increases with successful blindsides, among other things. So when you're setting up your combos, you might want to keep a string of low AP cost and gradually increase with each move. Having a high costing AP move may not work because your meter is too low. Not only can skills be in combos, but so can items and spells. Yes, you can have a button dedicated to just using items. Don't worry if this is not your thing, as you could still use items in combat by using the stop button. There are also passive abilities that you can equip. My 2 favorites are the item usage and first aid. Item usage being the most powerful one of them all, because it speeds up the time your character uses each item. Using items in battle start off very slow, so this is definitely something that will come in handy. Now, what's a Star Ocean game without crafting? As you do quests for Welch, you will unlock different schools of crafting, allowing you to make consumables, weapons, and armor. The best gear comes from crafting, but you need to level up each character in each individual school for the best results, as this is completely RNG. Now, I know you guys don't like RNG stuff sometimes, but it is not needed to beat the game. But you will be needing to use this for the Platinum Trophy and some in-game challenges. Since I already brought up Welch's quest, obviously there are going to be other side quests. These range from simple monster hunts to fetch quests, but some actually have a nice little story with them. You'll even meet some quest givers multiple times, giving them a continuous story throughout the game. And of course, quests bring in money and XP. In fact, it's probably one of the easiest ways to make a whole lot of money. Now I have to warn you, these are designed like old school RPG quests. If you don't know what that means, basically back in the day, a lot of RPGs, the quest giver would tell you what to do and maybe even give you a hint through dialogue, but they didn't directly just tell you exactly what you needed to do or where to go. So don't expect waypoints pointing you in the direction of side quests. This to me was a refreshing moment, as I had to actually go back to quest givers and actually listen to them again to fully understand what they wanted me to do. I'll give you a hint. You'll meet people that will tell you that monsters attacked them outside of a village after they ate a certain food from a certain restaurant. They don't tell you that in order for these monsters to spawn, you need to also eat food from that restaurant so that you'll get attacked as well, but that's what you need to do. So just expect side quests that will require you to do a little bit more thinking than the average game today. Another part of side quests that might be different than most games today is that in a lot of the fetch quests, they actually want you to get items from different places of the world. But they don't necessarily tell you where they are, they just tell you that they want this item. These items can be found in different shops, it could be found out in the world, or some you even have to craft. I remember one time I had to look up where an item was, but I didn't want to do it online. So instead, I used the in-game's item description that informs you of where you can find this item commonly. Like I said, I enjoy these type of old school game designs, but if this is not your thing, you can avoid majority of side quests in this game and still enjoy the main plot. Now, the biggest side quest of them all is a game called Isoa. Isoa is basically one of those games that's found in many RPGs, you know, like a side game that you can play throughout your adventure. It's a board game where the goal is to take out the opponent's life gauge. By placing down pieces, you increase your damage, and by locking the opponent's pieces, you remove them from the board. This also drains your opponent's attack power. Each piece has a certain power number and special skill. I normally ignore these side games in RPGs, but this one was so good, I kept playing it throughout. You get new pieces from winning matches and exploring. You will move up the ranks battling tougher players. And you really need to make sure that you have high level pieces for these battles, as you won't stand a chance otherwise. Speaking of exploration, you'll be traveling to different biomes, and even space, finding treasure, collectible bunnies, and crystals. Now these crystals are used to buff up Duma's abilities. Speaking of Duma, just like in combat, while you explore, you can fly around. This actually gives the game a minor platforming section here or there as well. Now another part of exploration that I would say is the private actions. Even though these are extra story bits, the reason I say this is part of exploration is because you have to go out your way to find these things, as the game doesn't tell you when a private action is available. Now Star Ocean's graphics to me are great. I personally like the doll art style of each character. although I'll have to admit at times they could use more motion in the face. As for the environments and the skyboxes, these are top tier. Very bright and colorful that make you want to stop and look at every single one of them. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, Star Ocean's visuals isn't a technical leap in gaming or anything, but it's very polished in my book. When it comes to the cons of this game, as I haven't said many, the only ones I can think of are pretty petty. The menu system is not the simplest, but I did get used to it as I played through the game. And as someone who loves trophies and achievements, I gotta say this trophy list is kinda insane. Get all 16 endings? Now, there's a way you can do this and cheese this, but the intentional way is to play the game 16 times. This is a game that clocks in around 40 hours if you do minor side quests. I've heard you can get this game done in 25 hours if you just beeline it through the story. But 16 endings? Not only that, this game does not reward you by beating the game on the harder difficulty. I'm referring to, again, the platinum. So what I mean is, in any other game nowadays, if you beat the game on normal and they had a trophy for beating the game on normal and easy, anything beneath the difficulty you played on, they automatically unlock for you. But not in Star Ocean, which means you need to play the game again on every difficulty, even the ones below the one you started with. Again, there's a way to cheese this, but it's just kind of silly. I started this review by asking why Star Ocean: The Divine Force was overlooked. And it's pretty poetic that the deeper meaning that I got from the plot answered that. People have been persuaded by the algorithm to dismiss games like Star Ocean. Think about how many great games the masses simply ignore, while screaming about games getting stale. The algorithm has told people exactly what to play, requiring no thinking on the gamer's behalf. Just like the centralists, there are a group of authoritative figures that basically all share the same opinion about any given game. Not to mention when something is sponsored to sway a perception. You may say that this is getting into conspiracy theory territories, but it really isn't. We see it every day how the internet, or our Scorpion, floods us with the same regurgitated thoughts daily. Those simply using the internet without a sense of self will fall in line with the algorithm. Anything the opposite of this is wrongthink. I remember saying a game like The Last of Us was just okay to me. I was met with disturbing attacks by many people that had not even played the game. Their feelings were so strong on the matter, but truly it was just the influence of the algorithm. Another example is Resident Evil 6. Many never played it and they hate it. And the many that avoided it, they did so just because they were told to. I remember streaming Resident Evil 6 some years back and people didn't even know what I was playing. When I told them what I was playing, they were shocked because they believed the game was trash. But based upon my footage, they actually saw that the game was interesting and wanted to give it a chance. Again, them thinking the game was trash was based solely on the algorithm and not based upon any of their life experience. So how does this relate to Star Ocean? Well, Star Ocean simply isn't in the algorithm's favor, but it also isn't in its crosshairs either. It's basically in limbo. Star Ocean isn't too bad to be hated, and it's not too great to be praised. Even though the Divine Force did exactly what people were asking for from Final Fantasy 16, which was make a full action RPG that does not leave behind the RPG aspect, people will completely ignore this game, while also crying about wanting a game that fulfills their needs. What they are looking for exists, but until our centralists tell them to get it, they won't notice it. Hopefully this review will shine some light on the Divine Forces. It's typically on sale for around $30 and will be on PS Plus if it's not already. To all those free-thinking individuals out there looking for a fun action RPG, Divine Forces is just what you need.
But I cannot love one who would forfeit their own wedding ceremony to some foul plot.
Ray!
Shoot them down!
burned into my mind.
Yeah.
Have you my blade?
Of course. I presumed you might ask after it?
You have my thanks. Now, let us join our allies in the fray.
Well said.